Okay, Roger, so it was your time to select the film for film marketing, The Banshees of Inisherin. Award-winning film, now we can say this, and been nominated for so many again. Let's watch the trailer.
Call him Sonny Larry. Didn't you and he used to be the best of friends?
We're still the best of friends.
No, you're not.
Who says we're not?
Sit somewhere else.
Now, if I've done something to you, just tell me what I've done to you.
But you didn't do anything to me. I just don't like you no more.
You didn't like me yesterday.
Why does he not want to be friends with you no more? What is he, 12?
What the hell's going on with you, me fecking brother?
He's dull, Siobhan.
But he's always been done.
The other night, 2 hours you spent talking to me about the things you found in your little donkey shite that day.
Well, it wasn't me little donkey's shite, it was me pony's shite, which shows how much you were listening.
If you don't stop talking to me,
Colin!
and if you don't stop bothering me, I have a set of shears at home, and each time you bother me from this day on, I'll take those shears and I'll take one of my fingers off with them, and I'll give that finger to you until I have no fingers left. Does this make things clearer to you?
Not really, no.
Starting from now. But shush like, Polly. You know, shush like.
Yeah, I'd shush like. Would you not want him to have to do the one finger to see if he was bluffing, like?
No, we wouldn't.
Because worst comes to worst, he can still play the fiddle with 4 fingers, I bet ya.
Go on back to your own gang now, Polly.
I'm talking to me! Are you?
Why aren't you talking to Porrick no more?
That wouldn't be a sin now, would it, Fana?
No, but it's not very nice either, is it?
You know who we remember for how nice they was in the 17th century?
Who?
Absolutely no one. Yet we all remember the music of the time. Everyone to a man knows Mozart's name.
I don't, so there goes that theory.
Can't be waiting around for any more of this madness.
Let's just call it quits.
We won't call it quits. We'll call it the start.
Wow. I saw this 2 days ago.
Right.
And I've been thinking about it ever since. I mean, like, I saw somebody writing, I see on the official Twitter account for the Banshees of Inisherin, it will find your way into your heart and your head and will stay there for a very long time.
Do you know, Pascal, this is such a good film, but when I originally saw it pop up on Disney Plus, I didn't really know much about it. I watched the trailer and thought, I'm not sure I'll enjoy this. But it has an amazing ability to just be incredibly compelling. It sucks you in, and the time just completely flew by. I mean, it's not an action-packed film. You know, it's quite a sedate pace. It doesn't travel around the world. The location, although stunning, the location is stunning. It's in quite a compact location. It's on a small island, off island, and it's very, very funny. And there are certain elements of the storyline as well, which are absolutely tragic, but also really quite sad as well. There's a storyline about a pony, which as pet lovers, we just found was really sad, but just the way they handled it was very delicate and lovely.
I think you might find, if I may use the tone of the film, it was a fecking donkey.
Yeah, absolutely. Pony, donkey, whatever. And again, the acting was superb. So I came out of it thinking, I didn't expect to enjoy this film, and yet it turns out to be one of the best I've seen for a long time, which is really weird, isn't it, Pascal? Did you get a similar sort of feeling?
Yeah, well, so I became aware of its existence, I think, late last year, but then I think there was no aspiration they would ever be shown at the cinema. So I kind of, forgot about it. And I thought, wow, it would be so good to see Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson again together. And then it appeared, I think, well, of course, of the nomination, then winning the award, the Golden Globes and so on, which we'll come back to. So it appeared on Disney Plus. I watched it, and my intention was to watch half because I was tired that evening, and I watched all of it. And as I said, all I've been doing is think about the movie, think about the messages, think about the stories, but the subtext stories and so on. But also, I had completely forgotten that the director is Martin McDonagh. And you and I, literally almost 2 years to the day, reviewed 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, which was one of the longest reviews. So I think this one's going to be the same. And for me, I would agree. I was laughing out loud at some of the comedy, but also I was heartbroken at moment, but also on occasion completely thrown by some of the horror. I mean, we've not agreed on the green room whether we're going to talk more about the film and avoid spoilers. But to me, I realized what it was as an experience thanks to the music. And when the music kind of transports you into that universe, I realized, right, we are watching essentially a dark fairy tale. This is Brothers Grimm territory. And suddenly I would say a little happier because there was moments when you go, this is going too far. I'm this is upsetting me, and then you realize that, I see we are literally in I think a fictional universe where you've got those characters on this island who are almost observing from a distance, this Irish Civil War conflict taking place, but they are almost protected from it. And they themselves having to deal with some form of conflict where one friend, played by Gleeson, Colin, decides that he wants to change his life and declares to his best friend that, and we assume that they've known each other for a very long time on the island, that they can no longer be friends. That's Colin Farrell playing the role of Porrick. And then you're transported into, you're right, it's enchanting. That is to say, you lose track of time, you lose track of everything. You are completely taken by that universe.
And what happens in the story is effectively, it's a metaphor, isn't it, for the Irish Civil War that's happening across the sea, and it sort of highlights the futility of that civil war in the story that is told. So from that point of view, it acts, as you say, as a fairy tale, but it is also quite a deep social comment on quite a nasty period in Irish history, obviously.
Completely.
So it works on so many levels, and as you said,
it's just incredible.
It's funny. The music is great, and I think I came across one bit that said the director was very keen to avoid that sort of cliche Irish sort of folk music that you often get in Irish focused films. The music was absolutely on point. And we'll talk about how maybe they blew that in the second trailer by using that sort of cliche Irish music. But again, the partnership of Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson, In Bruges is one of my favourite films. That was the first time they came together, and their chemistry just works just as well here. It's fantastic. So yeah, it's one of those films that sort of didn't know anything about it. Almost didn't watch it because I thought, this is just going to be a really boring film set on an island. And yet, wow, turns out to be absolutely stellar.
For me, it was also so that they had everything right. They were determined, because when you watched the interviews sometime and behind the scenes stuff, they were determined to make a beautiful film at all levels, in terms of the sound, in terms of the landscape. I have to tell you, I had little pangs of nostalgia because those green hills, you and I know them well, from Cannidarum to Northumbria to your part of Scotland, all the way, of course, to the west, towards Ireland. It was just stunning. Even when it was raining, even when it was cloudy, it was absolutely stunning. And we'll talk about how you can make advantage of that. And can I just say, we spoke about awards a moment ago, but I think Kerry Condon, who played Colin Farrell's sister character, Siobhan, she deserves as well an amazing accolade because her character was just incredible. And she was pretty much the voice of reason in the chaos that ensued following Com's declaration they didn't want to be friends anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. Mega acting. Now, from a marketing point of view, Pascal, I actually found this one quite a hard one to do research for because there isn't actually a great deal out there. In the past, when we've looked at different films, you can often find somebody will have written an article about the marketing of whatever it was, Mission Impossible or some of the other films that we've reviewed, Die Hard or whatever it is. But it was very difficult not only to find the exact marketing tactics that they've used for this film, but actually to find anybody talking about the marketing at all. And again, it's sort of, to me, testament to the quality of the film that there wasn't actually much marketing going on for this, and yet it has become so successful. So my only conclusion can be, and we'll have a look through the marketing tactics in a moment, but the marketing to me was pretty basic, to be honest, and yet the film has become so popular. So I can only conclude that word of mouth has played a massive role here in elevating this film to the levels that it's got to. Now, it had its world premiere at the 79th Venice International Film Festival on the 5th of September. It got a 15-minute standing ovation after the filming was done. It was actually released theatrically on the 21st of October. It then went on streaming service on HBO Max on the 13th of December, and finally it appeared on Disney Plus on the 14th of December, and the Blu-ray came out on the 20th of December. So it had less than 2 months actually in the theatres. And there's a bit of controversy about that. I think one article I have read that I did manage to find about the marketing suggested that actually Disney Plus potentially ruined theatrical run here by insisting upon putting it up so soon. And it's not really the sort of film you would expect to find on Disney Plus, let's face it. It's not an Avengers movie, it's not action-packed, it's not a cartoon, it's not Star Wars. It does sort of think, what is this film doing here? And I'm really glad it was there, but it is, what is it actually doing here? And I have read a few people who criticised Disney Plus for effectively curtailing the theatrical run to a certain extent. But just very briefly from the marketing point of view, Pascal, haven't really been able to come across much. There was a very interesting poster, which is beautiful in its simplicity. It's basically got the two characters stood on a beach with a dog between them, and the strapline is "Everything was fine yesterday." And even that one line, you create so much feel and anticipation.
That's a very good strap line, because I'm also thinking about how poignant that even the dog doesn't want to be friends with Colin Farrell. So for me, that's a hint, because the simplicity, but the beauty is something that they've exploited throughout. Because when you look at the social media platforms, again, there's not a lot of posting going on, and one could be critical to say all they've done is play back, the praises and the awards and nominations. But actually, even in doing so, the photography is exquisite, and it stays with you when you go on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You look at the images, and they are beautiful, just like the film is.
Yeah, and the poster itself, it has that image of the sea, the islands in the distance. You've got that moody sky with the clouds that you've already described there. Even the gloomy weather can look fantastic. So yeah, very basic but very evocative and emotional poster. Then, of course, the original trailer. Now, the original trailer is the one that I saw before we watched the film, and again, it sort of hints at the issues, and maybe the original trailer didn't hit the spot for me as much as it should have done, because again, it was touch and go as to whether I wanted to watch the film having seen the trailer. But having seen the film, I can now understand the power of the trailer.
Of course,
Do you know what I mean? It's a bit nuts, isn't it? Now, funnily enough, though, the second trailer, again, this is just, it just plays with your mind. when I watched the second trailer, having watched the film, I think the second trailer is a misstep, because what they do is they include some of that silly Irish folk music, the cliche Irish folk music, which actually doesn't appear in the film itself. The music in the film, as we've already said, is much better. Now, from that reason, I think that the second trailer is much tighter editing. It focuses a bit more in on the character and a bit more on the comedy. I think that if I'd seen the second trailer before I watched the film, it might have encouraged me to watch the film more. But having seen the film, I actually think that the second trailer is a misstep. So isn't that weird? Weird?
For me, I was confused by the second trailer because I thought the music was almost like a Western,
Yes.
It's very fast.
Yes.
It was the drums and so on. They also changed the calligraphy. If you noticed, it was like much thicker yellow typeface as opposed to what we see on the poster and the first trailer. And then I kind of thought, this may be, and again, we need to ask maybe those who were involved. It feels more like the international trailer, the one trailer that fits them all. Because I think if you watch the second trailer and then go into the film, you're going to feel a little misled. And I think that the first one is truer to the balancing out between. I think someone called it a tragic comedy or a comedy drama. But I never thought of that. But I think you're right. If someone has seen the second trailer, they're going to be disappointed, I think, or feel, hang on a minute. Where is the music to begin with? Where is the tone of the second trailer in that film?
Yeah. So incredible. I hadn't even really realized that until I started talking about it there. That argument just finally clicked into place as we were having that conversation. That is beautiful. I came across probably the only digital marketing for this, which a lot of this ended up on social media. It was a company called Digital Media Management, which we've seen in film marketing before. They created quite a few GIFs and memes based around you've already said it's a fecking donkey, or you're all fecking boring. And a lot of these, they are instantaneous, just one-liners made into GIFs, made into stickers, made into memes. And again, this is a very memeable film, isn't it? There's a lot of one-liners that you can capture and use. And even though this is the only digital marketing that I could find, it is very effective because, it captures more of the humor of the film, I guess, rather than the tragedy. But again, it's quite interesting. The one thing that I did think was fabulous is I came across Tourism Ireland's website. Now, this is a really good example of another company effectively riding off the back of the film and creating marketing for themselves. Now, in the past, in film marketing, Pascal, we've seen obviously product tie-ups with films like the last James Bond film, No Time to Die, with the product placement and companies doing campaigns based upon their products appearing in the film. But Tourism Ireland effectively looked at this film and thought, wow, look at the scenery, look at how this showcases Ireland. So they created a behind-the-scenes video themselves. They didn't... And apparently it cost them just over £1,000, 1,230 to be precise. And it created 6 million views on YouTube. So they really did capitalize on the beauty of Ireland evoked by this film to actually genuinely advertise Ireland as a tourism destination. And that's possibly one of the first examples we've come across in film marketing where a company has used that film to promote the other way around, if you like, because obviously Tourism Ireland have nothing to do with the actual film itself. They didn't do product placement, but they've used the film, obviously with permission, I'm sure, to then take it to the next level in terms of advertising their own services.
Yeah, because typically it happens much later. It happens, once the film has been released, and you could argue tourism board and the others play catch up with the film release. But they were literally recording and accessing footage from in 2021 during the filming on the two islands that they've got there.
Yeah.
What is interesting about the use of video. So, like you, I was thinking, where is the marketing campaign? And I'm wondering whether actually, like the film, a statement from that journalist saying, "You'll find a way into your heart, into your head, and stay there." Whether that's what they've chosen to do, which is they're going to let it, they're going to play it cool, and it's going to find its way through word of mouth marketing. I mean, there's countless numbers of interviews in the US and Europe. There's obviously all the awards seasons and so on. But when I was looking at the searchlight pictures, which is the distributors on the YouTube video, I spotted an interesting technique. So what they've done, they have, I think, about 15 to 16 videos against the hashtag Banshees. But what they've done, which I thought was nice, is on the YouTube thumbnail, they've got very clear labels. They've got trailers, obviously 2. They've got movie clips, and they've got featurettes. And it's written in kind of quite bold letters. And I thought, from the point of view of quickly accessing the kind of content format that you want, I thought it was interesting that they chose to do that. There was nothing convoluted about it. It was just simply writing the words that it is. And they've included, of course, a copy of the kind of 20-minute plus special from the ABC channel On the Red Carpet. And if you haven't seen it, you and viewers and listeners, it's once you've seen the film, not before, because too many spoilers, you can hear from the directors, from the actors about the work, the characters, the development, so on, and obviously that they had a blast filming this, the Banshees of Inisherin.
Yeah, and so my conclusion, Pascal, is very low key marketing campaign. Really not much more than just the trailer, the poster, a little bit of social media digital GIF work going on. As you said, not a massive social media campaign on Twitter, really. Yet this film has done remarkably well, won so many awards. It just goes to show a good film can win out. But I wanted to just get your opinion on this whole sort of the sort of little bit of controversy in the background that Disney Plus effectively insisted and forced that early release onto the streaming platform. And there has been criticism that this curtailed the cinema runtime and it was brought out on media far too early. We wouldn't have been having this conversation if it had been in the middle of the pandemic, of course, but things are almost back to normal now. Do you think that that's right, or is that just the way it is now? It's in the film is in the theaters for a couple of months and then it streams, and that's the way it is.
I think so. I think it was maybe an experiment. I think the fight is Disney owns, Searchlight Pictures, who are also owned by, a mother a group of companies. It feels short, though. I will say, when you were reading out the dates, from the first kind of event in September, it felt very, very, very tight. And I wonder, so trying to look at the positive, is it a tactic to get lots and lots of people seeing it, to praise it, to essentially have more of a chance or more of a crack, as they say, at the Oscars and more? Maybe my prediction is that as it's going to continue to be nominated and win more kind of awards, it will go back to the screens. Interestingly, in France, where I live, it is being screened in 2 weeks' time.
Well, there you go.
I wanted to ask you very briefly, I know that we're perhaps stretching the film marketing segment a bit, but about the title, The Banshees of Inisherin, because I've been thinking about it for days and days and days. Who are the Banshees? What is the role of the old woman? Ooh. And what do you make of Siobhan, Colin Farrell's sister, leaving the island as well?
Yes, well, that's interesting. Now you've come to mention it. I mean, your original thought is that it's the 2 blokes who are the Banshees, and Banshees to me conjures up sort of chaos, doesn't it? And evil, misguided evil, maybe. So from that point of view, their behaviour certainly fits the Banshee. But then the old woman, she could be the Banshee. She was almost always in the background, almost like steering things or observing things. And Siobhan leaving the island, that may be because the film was an entire metaphor for the Civil War. Maybe she was a metaphor for just saying, I'm out of here. This is ridiculous. I can't handle this. Maybe people who didn't agree with Brexit might have decided, well, I'm going to go and live in France instead of staying in the UK. Maybe it's a similar metaphor for that. I don't know, Pascal. I probably will have to think about that a little bit
That's
more.
exactly what I've been doing for the last few days. And what is interesting, the director said, he himself, in terms of the way he works, because he comes from a stage background, production background before film, he leaves, even for himself as the author, lots of doors open to possibilities. For me, the music really took me into this world of dark fairy tale, Brothers Grimm, Greek legends as well, and that kind of things. And I kind of think that this is all to, if we go for the fairy tale theme, then all the inhabitants of the island are banshees, and only some will be able to leave. It's almost like purgatory-esque. And the only one that can let you leave the island is the old lady, like the ferryman in Hades for the Greek legends. And of course, this could be completely not the intention of the director, but his work is to make people talk about the movie. And we're going to be talking about this movie for a very, very long time, I guess. Not just us, but critics as well as moviegoers and so on. I mean, you should see the number of podcasts and interviews online. I'm going to leave you with my favorite line of the whole movie because I laughed so much when I heard it. You may remember the scene when Siobhan, the sister, walks into the house and finds Porrick with a donkey in the house, and she's complaining about it. And he says to her, "I am not putting my donkey outside when I'm sad, okay?" And the way in which Colin Farrell delivers the line of, because he's sad and he's got this little pet donkey in the house, I laughed so much because actually I was thinking one of the things that this character he plays does well is actually sometimes simplicity is always the best way to go in terms of life as well as work and so on. And Porrick has a simple life. He looks after his animals. He goes to the pub with his best friend, until he stops. And for me, if I had to go back to the film, the more I think about it, the more I think that Colin, played by Brendan Gleeson, is actually the character that is least likable because he imposes his fear of dying to poor Porrick, who right now is enjoying life very, very much so. And because of breaking their friendship, Porrick's view on life in general is impaired. So, but, like I said, we could keep talking about this for a very, very long time. Did you have a favorite moment in the film?
I haven't really. It's such a good one. I mean, I thought that the way they handled the donkey dying and the sadness behind that was very effective. It's probably not my favourite part of it, but it's certainly memorable.
Everyone, once you've seen, the Banshees of Inisherin, please let us know. We're going to be kind of struggling to maybe find the answers. Maybe there are so many out there. But this has been episode 94 of Two Geeks and a Marketing Podcast. Thank you so much. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Leave comments in usual places. Until the next time, go out there and make sure your marketing is done right. I was Pascal Fintoni, and he was Roger Edwards.